Raw foods are not some magical weight loss food, you guys. And here's why. But first, can we acknowledge the definition in the arms? I've been working out hard since June, and yeah, I'm feeling it. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nicolershaeholiday, also known as Plant-Based Nicolershaeholiday on Instagram. How y'all doing today? Do you like my beanie? My hair is not done. Didn't feel like putting on a head wrap. It's just easier to throw on a beanie. So here we go. I'm still fabulous. Go on and say it. Just kidding. Hey you guys, I wanted to come on here and talk about raw foods. Everybody's under the impression that raw foods are just some magic weight loss food. And that's not the case. Because if that was the case, then every raw vegan would be non-existent, because they would be losing weight every week. And they would end up so frail that they would be in the hospital, or I don't want to say the word, but this is sign language for DEAD. Okay? If raw foods were some weight loss food, automatically every raw vegan would be non-existent. But they're not, right? They're not non-existent. Why? Because they maintain their weight. Now, most of the people that most of the raw vegans, when they first went raw and they lost all the weight because of whatever their diet was prior to going raw, it made a drastic decrease in how much calories they were eating. Maybe they weren't tripping off the calories, but their body knows. So once they lose all the weight, now they're all maintaining, right? I can name a few. I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of people who have been eating this way for a long time. They first lost the weight when they went raw. Now they're maintaining, right? They're maintaining. If raw foods were a magic weight loss, then they wouldn't be able to maintain their weight. They would always be losing, right? No. It's about how much you're eating versus how much you're burning. If raw foods were some magical weight loss food, then the last 2 times I went raw, I would have not gained weight. I didn't gain a lot, but last April, I was up a half a pound after 30 days. Not a lot, but I'm just saying, not only did I not lose weight, but I went up. And then last year I went raw in January. I was up almost a pound. Why? Because raw foods are not some magical weight loss food. It's all about how much you're eating versus how much you're burning. I happen to be eating around the same amount I was burning, not on purpose. I was just eating intuitively to satisfy my hunger. And it turned out that I was eating around the same amount I was burning-ish, or maybe even a little bit more than I was burning, which is why I was up a pound. Now, I will say, my very first time going raw, in my early 40s, I lost 10 pounds in 44 days, but that was because of what my diet was before I went raw. So when I went raw, I was eating vegan, but I was, eating a lot. I was maybe eating junk food. So when I went raw, especially, I knew I was going to do the raw, so I was eating even more right before the raw started. So when I go raw, now that's a drastic decrease in how much I'm eating, right? And because I was burning a lot more back then, that's also the thing, how active you are. Now I work out now, I get my steps in, but I'm not riding my bike for transportation anymore. I'm not taking dance classes every week, kickboxing classes, doing dance rehearsal every week because I used to be in praise dance. All that stuff is making me burn so much more calories per week. So when I went raw, I was in a big deficit, not realizing it. I didn't even know what a deficit was back then, but my body knows, right? So the amount I was burning was so high. So when I went raw, it was a drastic decrease in how much I was eating before, therefore putting me in a big calorie deficit. And calorie deficit doesn't mean restricting your calories. It just means you're burning more than you eat. And I was eating, the first time I went raw, I was eating like 2,200 calories a day. I wasn't even tracking, but when I used to track years ago, I know like what things are now, so I can easily eat a certain way from the food I provide, and I'll just know just automatically about how much I'm eating. So I was eating around 2,200 calories. So I was burnt, and I was losing almost like 2 pounds a week during that time, which is not a lot, but so I must have been probably burning like 3,000 calories a day or so. So I was in like an 800 calorie deficit. I'm just throwing out numbers here. So that's what happens when people, all the people that always say, oh, I don't have to count calories, I just eat this way, you're not counting calories. Your body knows, right? So people, they're coming from either a meat eating diet, or they're coming from a junk food vegan diet, or just a regular diet, just higher in calories. So when they go raw, it's an automatic reduction in how much they're eating. So they're now in a deficit, not realizing it, and that's why they lose weight. If raw foods were some magical weight loss food, everybody that eats a raw vegan diet would be non-existent. Now, this time I'm doing raw now, day 26. I've only lost 3 pounds, and I had to work at it this time. The last 2 times I went raw, I went up after those days. I didn't want to go up. I didn't want to maintain. I'm trying to lose body fat, so I had to be intentional. And the way I did it, not just eating raw, didn't make me lose the 3 pounds. I had to really make sure I'm burning more than I'm eating. I know I burn with my age, weight, activity level, and then my workouts. And then after you enter your food in chronometer, it even you burn calories when you're eating and you're chewing. So I average about 2,100 calories a day of burning, right? So if I want to burn fat, I need to eat a little bit less than that, just for a little bit, not forever. So I'm, maybe 1,900 calories a day. Excuse me. And then once I get to my goal, then I will increase it a little bit more and more until I get to my maintenance level. But my point is that I went raw this time. I'm on day 26. Most people would have lost like 15 pounds by now because of how they were eating prior. I've only lost 3 pounds, and it was because I'm intentionally trying to because I don't just lose weight from eating raw. I don't lose weight like that because I eat intuitively when I'm eating raw sometimes. So it makes me end up maintaining my weight. I didn't want to maintain this time. I didn't want to go up this time. So I had to be intentional in making sure I'm burning more than I eat. Okay. And then once I get to the goal or whatever, then I will maintain my weight. But I'm just saying that, I had to work at it. Some people don't have to work at it because of what their diet was before. It's a drastic change. It's a drastic difference. My diet was not a drastic change. I already eat 89% raw before I went raw this time. I already eat raw and then occasional cooked foods. The amount I eat is usually when I go raw, I usually eat the same amount. It doesn't change, right? Which is why I end up staying around the same. But this time I made sure I was in a deficit. So I'm making sure that I'm burning more than I eat so I can make sure that I drop the fat. I didn't have a lot of water to lose. I'm only losing fat, and fat takes a little bit longer to lose than just water. So that's why I've only dropped 3 pounds in 26 days, because it's fat that I'm losing, not water. So everyone that loses so much weight, good for you. It's mostly water. If you're losing 5-10 pounds a week, it's just water. You don't lose that much fat in a week. Maybe someone who is obese, maybe they might be able to lose that much per week of fat. I don't know. But normally, yeah, if you're losing all that 20-30 pounds in a month, it's mostly water. And it's because of whatever your diet was prior to eating raw. Now might not relate to every single person. This is most of the people that experience the dramatic weight loss. It's because of whatever their diet was prior to going raw. It was a drastic decrease in calories, therefore putting them in a deficit. Even if they don't know, even if they don't track, even if they don't care about calories, their body knows. Period, point blank. Your body knows if you're burning more than you're eating, so it will react as such. I used to think the same thing My early 40s, like I said, when I went raw for 44 days, I lost 10 pounds and for 44 days, which that was a lot for me. Okay. But I used to think, oh, when I go raw, I lose weight. After that time, I thought every time I go raw, I lose weight. It was just because when I would go raw, it was coming off of eating an excessive amount of food for several weeks in a row. So when I went raw, it was a decrease in how much I was eating, therefore putting me in a deficit, therefore making me lose the weight. But it's not the raw foods. It's how much you're burning versus how much you're eating. So, if that's the case, like I said, every time I go raw, I would just automatically lose weight. And that doesn't happen anymore. Last year, April and last year, I went raw, didn't lose weight. I was up, actually, because I was just eating intuitively. Because, the amount I burned wasn't enough to, it wasn't burning more than I was eating. Does that make sense? Do you guys, I wish I can hear you answer. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? I'm just saying that your body knows if you're burning more than you're eating. Your body knows if you're burning the same amount you're eating or if you're burning less than you're eating. And depending on what you're doing is what's going to happen with your body. If you're eating more than you burn, that's called a surplus. That means you might gain weight. If you're eating the same amount you burn, you might maintain your weight. If you're eating less than you burn, you might drop weight. And that's what happens. You guys are losing so much weight because of whatever you were eating before. It was a decrease in your calories, which you might not know, but your body knows. And that's why you lose the weight. If every raw vegan, if raw foods were some magical weight loss, then every single raw vegan would be sickly looking and they would just constantly lose weight until they just die. And they're not. They're maintaining their weight. Why? Because they know they eat a certain amount now to maintain it. Maybe when they first went raw, they lost a lot of weight, but now they're maintaining it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So raw foods are not some magical weight loss food. It depends on how much you're eating versus how much you're burning. That's my take on it. And that's my experience. This time I finally have lost some weight during eating raw because I worked at it. Working hard, making sure I'm burning more than I'm eating. And like I said, I lost 3 pounds in 26 days. That's not a lot. But when you're losing fat, you lose that slower than you do water. So you can almost say I'm averaging like a little bit less than a pound a week. A half a pound to a pound and a half of fat is good per week to lose. But when you're losing 5-10 pounds a week, that's just water, which is good. You want to get that off first. That's fine. But it's nothing to go shouting and hooting about. It's just water. What you want to lose is fat. We want to lose fat, not just water. It's good, like I said, it's good to get that water off first. But we want to focus on losing fat. Okay? And as you lose the water more and more, then eventually the fat will start coming off too. But anywho, I just want to say that raw foods are not some magical weight loss food. And I know everybody thinks that, but it's not. Because every raw vegan would not be living because they would lose so much weight that they would end up I just did in case you're not watching the video, rewind it and see what I just did. Because I don't want to say the word. Anyway, okay, that was all I wanted to say. I hope I'm making sense. Please let me know if I'm making sense. Or if I'm not, if you need me to clarify a little better. Again, I know a lot of people that lose weight after eating raw, they're not counting calories. They're not tripping off of how much they're burning. They're not doing any of that. But their body knows, is what I'm saying. Their body knows. So it comes off, it's natural for them, but their body knows. Just like when I'm in my early 40s and I went raw, or when I used to just start eating clean, I would automatically lose the weight. And I thought it was, all I have to do is eat clean. All I have to do is eat raw, then I'll lose weight. No, it was about back then I was a lot more active, so I was burning way much more. So when I went to eating those ways, there was a drastic amount of how much I was eating, therefore putting me in a big deficit because I was a lot more active back then with the bike riding, dance rehearsals and everything. Now I don't have those things anymore. I'm not doing the dance rehearsals, I'm not doing the dance classes, and I'm not riding my bike for transportation. So I'm not burning as much as I used to, which is why when I go raw, I don't just automatically, I have to be intentional and make sure I'm burning more. Just working out and just walking is not making me burn as much as I used to. So therefore, anyway, you know how you have things in your head and you want to say it, but you don't know if it's coming out right? I'm kind of feeling like that right now. I'm like, am I making sense? Do they understand what I'm saying? Am I saying it right? I don't know. We'll see in the comments. Before I close, I do want to say, you guys know I'm a advocate for raw living foods. I love eating raw. I feel great. I love eating a high raw diet when I'm not doing like a 30-day raw thing like I'm doing now. So I'm not bad mouthing raw foods. I'm just saying that they're not some magical food that makes you automatically lose weight. It all depends on what your diet was prior. That will determine what the success is when you go raw. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I'm not bad mouthing raw foods. Y'all know I love me some raw food. I eat it all the time. I think it's great. I feel great. I've healed my body from it. But I don't want to keep saying the same point over and over. Y'all know what it is. That's all I'm saying. Congratulations to those who have lost weight from eating raw. Again, what was your diet beforehand will determine what your success is once you go raw. Okay, I hope I'm making sense. Thank you guys again. This time I'm really gonna go. Bye for now. Bye. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.